Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at patreon.com/inspired disorder.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Swipe Up, the 146th episode of the show, where I share some posts from Instagram and I comment on them, give my feelings and my thoughts on these posts. Let's get into it, shall we, with this post here. A bit of information, a bit of things going on. QAnons New Plan, quote-unquote plan, to run for school board. Apparently, for the QAnon believers out there that actually believe that Trump lost the election, that believe in the reality that Trump lost the election, which there are, I'm sure, probably a minority of QAnon believers that do. It seems like they just come up with new theories every week when their last one gets debunked. But this new quote-unquote plan for the Q people are to start running for school board and local government in order to spread the QAnon beliefs, but to make sure not to brand them as QAnon beliefs, which I can 100% see that happening. I mean, Tito Ortiz, in some ways, was somebody that was tried to do that in Huntington Beach. I don't think he lasted very long. I don't even think he lasted a year as mayor pro temp of Huntington Beach, but it seemed every week that he was posting on social media about him crying because businesses required him to wear a mask to enter their establishment. He even couldn't attend his own job. He was unable to attend his own job because as mayor pro temp because he refused to wear a mask. He's very much a stupid person who's received a lot of punches to the head and is perpetrating all of this misinformation and nonsense because apparently listening to somebody smart is what somebody that sounds smart, I should say. Listening to somebody that sounds smart is what these stupid people call research. That is the research that they do, is listening to smart people say stupid things. And now they are going to be trying to, infiltrate the system, which there's, far too many politicians as is up in the federal government that believe in this nonsense. But the fact that they are going to be influencing schools, more so than schools are already doing in most red states. Most red states are, one step away from just being QAnon propaganda systems. But, in other states, I'm sure it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's a reality that is pathetic. It's like the fact that a kid could go into a science class and because of their local governments have to talk about, I remember when I went into science class as a kid was it high school? Yeah, high school. Going into science class, I remember the science teacher having to do a little preamble before starting the lesson on evolution because of people's religious beliefs, because people who believe in fictional books as reality forced the school district to make their science teachers say that the fictional works of people who desired to control populations, their fictional work should be regarded as equally as science, which is very similar to what these people are doing. It's a different type of religion. Instead of believing in Jesus and turning water into wine and staffs into like magic. That's what a lot of the Bible, there's magic. Written by people that were not even around when those things, they're just stories by people that want to, it's stupid. It's all stupid. And the QAnon people are just as stupid. It's basically a religion. It's an ideology a cult-like ideology that is just as dangerous as the other cult ideologies. All of the different religions who have fundamentalists who believe those things wholeheartedly, 100%, tend to be the most dangerous people and the ones to perpetrate terrorism on a lot of different levels. But let's move on, shall we? Let's move on to a different whirlwind of damage, a different type of threat that is upon us in these times, and that is the presence of fire tornadoes. Just a crazy thing visually to see. Tornadoes in general, or giant, I don't know how big these tornadoes are compared to legitimate tornadoes that happen in the middle of the country. But California is not really known for tornadoes. But because of these fires, they have been causing these fire tornadoes to start. And they are just... It's insane, the reality that we're living in. Because with the fire that was erupted in the ocean, in the Gulf of Mexico, is just a premise that you would see in a bad action movie. Similar to that are these fire tornadoes. I mean, it's one step away from Sharknado, which I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple years these tornadoes that are striking land in California, if those just started off coast, I could see potentially them sucking up some sharks and throwing them at the people in Calabasas, But we'll see. We'll see how ridiculous this gets. I mean, it really is. Ever since Trump got elected, we've been in every horrible movie, from Idiocracy to 28 Days, or to 2012. Is that the movie that was like that apocalypse movie? It's just insane. It's insane. We're living in movies written by people that had cocaine problems and don't understand storytelling. That's who's writing our reality. If you do believe in God, God is doing a lot of drugs right now, and not like hallucinogens or anything. He's doing like just party drugs. God is tweaking out at the moment, and I think we've encouraged it with all of the fossil fuels that are making so many worthless people money. It's ridiculous, and causing progress to inch along at a pace that will not be worthwhile in any meaningful way, and we'll just all become extinct soon, possibly sooner than later. I mean, not only is the weather trying to destroy humanity, because humanity is trying to destroy the planet. But I mean, we're not really going to destroy the planet. What we're going to do is destroy our existence on this planet is really what we're going to do. So thank you to all the conservatives and GOP people, probably a lot of libertarians too, because they don't, the thing about libertarians that's exactly like an ideology of conservatives is this idea that the government, having no government, is somehow going to make life better for anybody. I mean, right now, the fact that the government is mostly a puppet for big corporations doesn't really give a lot of points to the whole government argument. But to not have any kind of overarching system, anarchy isn't going to be the way. I mean, rich people are still going to have money, and they'll be able to get away with even more. And that's what most of the conservative party is trying to do, is trying to just cause anarchy so that they can get rich. That's all they care about, is wealth and how they can sell stupid people on agreeing with their ideas to gain more wealth. But anyway, let's move on to something that should be happening Far more often, a gun maker being sued by Sandy Hook families sent thousands of memes and quote-unquote random images to lawyers. So the thing that should be happening far more often are gun manufacturers being sued by the people affected by mass shootings. If your product is causing death on a large scale, products like that should not be sold. I mean, it's insane that, you can go to Walmart and you buy a hairdryer and there's a giant label on this hairdryer for stupid people to remind them not to use it in a shower, right? We have restrictions about not electrocuting yourself in a shower, but then you can go buy a gun, an assault rifle that you can modify slightly to make it an automatic assault rifle, and there's no label on there. There's no label on guns. There's zero requirements. If you can do that with your finger, you can kill a lot of people. Can you do that? Most people can. That's why children are known to shoot people, because they see a gun. And any idiot that can curl their finger has the ability to end human life. I think the fact that people can profit off of making tools that make it super easy to end human life, I think those people should be held accountable. Since the government's not going to do anything, and they want, and this is part of the free market, right? The ability to sue somebody who caused you harm. That's how the market corrects if there's a dangerous thing. Enough people get together, and that's what you'd like the government to do, to have some oversight to make sure dangerous things don't get out into the public in general. That's why we have an FDA, to make sure drug manufacturers can't just release something without proper testing. That's why food products need to go under certain qualifications before people can eat it. But guns, because hunting and they're fun, it should happen more. But what happened in this case is the gun manufacturer, who's, I guess, already gone bankrupt anyway. I guess guns aren't as profitable these days, which is crazy. Maybe just they weren't. Who knows? I'm surprised gun manufacturers don't sponsor mass shooters. That's their market. They get a bump in sales every time there's a mass shooting, although there's mass shootings every day, so it must just be a steady increase for gun manufacturers as far as profit is concerned. But what they did for this lawsuit is bog down the system by sending a bunch of useless memes and things that have nothing to do with the case. It has nothing to do with what they're doing. They're just they're playing the game of stupidity. This is probably something that a lot of Trump lawyers do. They find loopholes and ways to make things just they find that one thing that they can do to get away with nonsense, and they do it. They execute in a way to avoid any kind of repercussions. I hope they get punished to the fullest extent, but considering how much people actually get punished for this shit is minimal. It's minimal. You have people like Kyle Rittenhouse, who's a terrorist, is free on bail. His mom, who probably taught him how to be racist and to be an asshole. There's videos of Kyle Rittenhouse before he committed those murders, just being an asshole and beating up on girls. There's, videos of him being an asshole prior to his multiple murder night, which his mom drove him to with his gun, and she's not being charged with anything. And then they can go out and they're partying at bars. That's how murderers, if you're murdering a certain kind of people, like if you're a white supremacist and you go out and murder multiple people with an assault rifle, the conservative party lifts them up as heroes. What are we doing in this country? That's why I'm surprised that gun manufacturers aren't sponsoring him. I know there were companies that did pay for his bail, so I guess I guess domestic terrorists are getting sponsorships these days. So it's just another crazy reality we're living in. But let's move on to a moment of zen, a piece of beauty within this world of disgustingness. This is a new mural that has been painted. There's a bunch of. Here's the thing. Where I live, out in the Coachella Valley, quote unquote Palm Springs, right? There's a lot of gated communities. There's a lot of walls on the outsides of those gated communities. There are very few murals throughout this entire valley, unless you go to the east side of the valley, where it's the lower income side of the valley, where a lot of the farmers live, and there's more farmland out in Coachella and Indio and Thermal. Places like that, you'll actually see murals, beautiful murals. And a lot of those murals are old, and I read there's an article recently about how the city is looking to update their murals, which is good to hear. And this one by Maxxer242, Maxxer 242, in conjunction with the Flat Black Shop in Palm Desert. It's a gallery and art supply shop. They did this beautiful mural out in Coachella. I don't know what building it's on necessarily or where to see it, but I think it's gorgeous. I think there should be. I think the valley, considering the amount of walls that we have, that the wealthy people want to keep the poor people out. Those walls should be covered in murals. There should be so much art in this valley. And the most disgusting thing, so aside from like the poor areas of the valley, Coachella, Thermal, Indio, that kind of area of the valley where there's, lower income, that has a lot of art. The only other place that has murals is in the Palm Springs Museum. But what they do at the Palm Springs Museum is they literally put quote unquote urban art, right? Murals, street art. They put that art literally behind bars. The art in that type of art in the Palm Springs area is confined behind bars, which in itself is a message, and it's a very sad message. This Palm Springs especially, a lot of life. You got like a huge gay community, probably an arts community of some sort. But there's very few actual murals anywhere aside from those specified areas behind bars by the Palm Springs Museum. Disgusting. It is It's the most disappointing aspect of living in this area, aside from the heat, is the lack of art. It is the fact that this whole valley is gated off. Most of the valley is restricted by people. You cannot enter most of this valley because of the golf resorts and things that fill up the area that you are not allowed to get into. And then there are gated communities within gated communities. So even the upper echelon people have two barriers of protection from the normies, from the poor people. So I love that out in Coachella and those areas, there's a thriving art scene, I would say. Beautiful murals and beautifully updated murals. I mean, the colors and everything about this mural is amazing. It has that vibrance of like cocoa. Not necessarily that glowing. It's almost glowing. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of art. Created by this dude, and there should be far more of this art all over the valley. It's one thing that if I had to make a wish to change the valley in one way, that would be one of the easy go-tos for me. Is that after living in like San Diego and Denver, especially where I lived in Denver. It's just like it's so beautiful to walk down a street and see murals everywhere. It adds so much character. And the character that the valley has are stucco covered walls and overly manicured desertscapes. It's when you think of the definition of the word fake, I think of this valley. This valley is so fake. Most of the people that the valley is engineered for don't even live here. They live here part of the year, and probably less of the year as it goes. But beautiful work here. I hope it's a trend that spreads to more than just that side of the valley. But great work there. Now, moving on to last but not least, I mean, we had a little moment of zen in the past one. I tried not to have just horrible story after horrible story this week. But this one, a bit of film trivia from Slash Film, the movie Parasite specifically. The Kim family's house from the movie Parasite, their house, alley, and neighborhood were built in a massive set that doubled as a water tank, so it could be easily flooded, which is interesting. It reminds me of the movie trivia that the Home Alone house, the interior of the Home Alone house was built inside of a gymnasium. They actually turned a school in Illinois into like a movie studio. Super interesting. But this super interesting as well, this information about Parasite, because how kind of the flooding in the movie Parasite is almost a character. It's definitely one of like it's definitely a hurdle. Definitely something that's pushing back against this family to try and succeed. This family, this hustlers, a family of hustlers, just trying to make ends meet in a poor part of town. And there's a part of the movie where everything does flood, and it's awesome that they built it because it seems extremely lived in. It doesn't seem like it's a set in any way. So a beautiful set design. And just interesting to see. I haven't watched that movie since theaters, so I should probably go back and maybe I should do a best Bong Joon-ho, top 5 Bong Joon-ho films. That would be fun. I don't think he's done a shitload of movies. I could probably do that. So there you go. Look forward to potentially a Bong Joon-ho top 5 episode coming soon to a Saturday near you. But that's it for this week. A swipe up. Let's do some shout outs and get out of here, shall we? Shout out to Dave _Anthony_. Shout out LA Times. Shout out BuzzFeed News. Shout out Maxer, MAXXER 242. And shout out Slash Film. But most importantly, shout out to you. Get yourself some amazing coffee over at stationhousecoffee.com and follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. That's your place for small batch, single origin, premium coffee brewed in Thetford Center, Vermont, shipped directly to you. Go now to stationhousecoffee.com and order yourself some amazing coffee. And don't forget to follow Station House Coffee on Instagram. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on IGTV, YouTube, and everywhere else podcasts are found. Binge the full week ad-free over at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com and follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!